What's up, everyone? So, I've had about 3 views on my videos so far. I thought with such vast popularity I'd make another one. And this one is about why you should not vote. And it is usually met with the most amount of ire, anger, angst, confusing replies, and general hate that an anarchist will get. And he's talking about freedom, liberty, all that stuff. So basically, there's a very scientific, fairly simple explanation for why you should not vote. And it starts very simply with what we are as a country in terms of how we're set up for authority, how the authoritarians are set up to rule over us, more or less. And we're all sold this nice bill of goods that we are a democracy or a republic. But in fact, per Princeton, Harvard, Yale, and university studies, we are an oligarchy. And an oligarchy is when it's like a corporatocracy. It's when the corporate world, large corporations, are not just profiting the most, which is what socialists will say is the problem, but they're actually writing the laws. And very simply how this happens, how this works, is you've got a group of people in government. A lot of them have very long tenure. There are no term limits in some positions, and that are of great power and responsibility. So you've got people that have been there for sometimes decades, who have a lot of ability to sway policy, who are also the same people that sit on the boards, and in some cases are vice presidents of the boards of huge companies like Halliburton and Monsanto, who are probably the two most well-known, and defense contractors and other major contributors to funding for campaign. So let's break that down really simply. The people who pay for the campaigning for the people we elect are employing those same people as board members for their companies. Seems legit. No way to screw that up, right? So, no matter, really, let's just imagine for a moment that Bernie Sanders is going to break up the banks. I'm going to break up the banks. Are they going to like me? No. They're going to play by my rules? You betcha. No, they're not going to play by your rules. Because everybody in government, to a large degree, are sitting on the boards of those banks and of the defense contractors and of Monsanto, huge agriculture, huge war business, huge bank business. All the people that you need to work with you to eliminate would have to eliminate themselves, which is not his goal. That doesn't make any sense at all. How would his goal be to, if that was his goal, he would be saying, I'm here to destroy the federal government because it's crooked and everybody works together to make laws that benefit the wealthiest, and the income inequality, he would tell the truth, the income inequality comes from the way we write laws and not from, from greed. It's not greed. Greed is, is a pretty huge motivator to go and, innovate something. Do we really care how somebody is spurred on to go and cure a major disease? If it's because they're going to make $1 trillion, so what? They cured a major disease that you want cured. That's a great thing. Give them $1 trillion if they can market it that way, I guess. What's the difference? In a free market, everybody gets paid what they're worth anyway, and it'd be worth quite a bit if you could contribute. quite a bit. So basically, when you vote, none of the things you think happen. The person that you're putting the vote for, first of all, your vote's not counted. I mean, let's be honest. There's to a absolutely almost infinitesimal degree of certainty that there's no chance that they're actually counting votes to begin with. Even if they did, if they decide the public got it wrong, they just switch them around with the superdelegates and give the person that they want the vote, and they win anyway. So even if somebody comes in and says, I'm going to abolish the federal government, and like 99% of the people say, F yeah, let's do it, they're going to give somebody else the delegates, and it's not going to work. That's why your vote's meaningless. Twofold. Your vote actually hurts everybody, because when you vote and your guy loses or wins, either way, all you're doing is you're giving credence to the system and saying, this is the system we want, we're going to cooperate or participate in the system. So when somebody tells you, you got to work with what we got, why? Why do I have to work with what we have? It's rigged. I don't see any possible way to vote the VP of Monsanto out of government. I don't see how to do it. Like there is no popular vote for that. There is no like way for a citizen to get his voice heard. What, call your representative? You mean the guy who's on the board? You're gonna call him and tell him you don't want him on the board? Should work. That should work out well. Yeah, why not? You can give it a shot. But the fact is, all you're doing when you're voting is you're telling everybody that you're okay with the way they do things. That's it. You're giving credibility and sustainability and your backing, your ethical backing, or whatever, however you want to word it. It's your stamp of approval that this is the right process. This is the way to do it. And quite frankly, it's not. It's not. The only way that we'll ever make a dent is if we look to each other to solve our problems. If we look at our neighbors and say, we got a problem here, and the people that are supposed to be solving it, that are taking our money and saying they're solving it, aren't, and we need to somehow band together to solve these problems, you know? And the only way you can do that is if, let's imagine nobody showed up to vote. Not a single person. How does the government stand, put somebody on TV, on the radio, in the newspapers, and say we're here to represent you, when not a single person spoke and said, we want you to represent us? Because I haven't seen a lot of support for, you know, the idea of a monarchy or of a huge amount of authority in the center, except for Bernie Sanders supporters, and you guys can all suck an egg because you literally have zero understanding of history, economics, or ethics. You've never been exposed to any of these things or thought about them, because if you had, you'd never arrive at the idea that socialism was a good idea. It just would not happen. Either that or you're malfunctioning. Something's happening where you're just not working right. So I'm going to abolish the idea that socialist people have any common sense whatsoever or education on the subject, because it just doesn't simply make any sense. Oh, and this video's really long, but final thing, we actually live in socialism now. We live under a socialist regime now, which is because we live in crony capitalism. We do not have a capitalistic free market. It does not exist. I don't know if it exists anywhere on the planet. I don't think so. But this isn't it. Crony capitalism is socialism, for all the reasons that I explained before, because corporations are writing rules. And that's that. Don't vote.